I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is choosing to be bountiful. It's Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving. And if we connect to the essence of the name of the day, it's a day to give thanks, to be in appreciation. And our way of being really determines how we experience the world. And so today's invitation is to be bountiful. And it should be a fun conversation. So before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together vigorously. Rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling as you stop, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. Rosalind says, good morning. I am thankful for you. And Rosalind, I am so deeply thankful for you. You're a shining light for me every day, and I'm just so grateful for that. So thank you. And thank you for just being here. It means the world. So thank you. And I'm so grateful to Ruth Anderson, who is the founder, the inspiration, the light behind Enlightened World Network that reaches so many people, that gives so many people a platform for spreading the light. And so I'm just wanting to give her deep appreciation for her vision and her persistence and her deep, deep love that she shares with so many people, making such a difference in the world. So, and for the folks who are her loyal and talented supporters, Sue Seekoff and Dido Clark, without whom we wouldn't have Enlightened World Network functioning in the beautiful way that it does. So much deep, deep gratitude to them and to all the people who are spreading light through this network and all the people who are receiving it and sharing it. So lots and lots and lots to be grateful for. So that brings us to today's topic, which is choosing to be bountiful. So we talk about abundance. Maybe not, bountiful isn't such a popular general culture word at the moment, but still, I think that that's what we're looking at, is being bountiful. And when I think about bounty, I think of the horn of plenty, just overflowing with nourishment and food and caring and love. And so when the way that we be, who we identify with, who we're being, propagates out into the world, and it communicates to others, and it also magnetizes experience. And yesterday we were talking about blessings, and that's really, we're continuing along that thread today with this notion of being bountiful, because when we're in an experience, like who we are as an identity, if we take on all these different roles, but if we take on the role of being bountiful, then what we see is abundance everywhere. What we see is the gifts. What we see is all the things to be grateful for, all the things to be giving thanks for. We're to be in appreciation. And this conversation comes from a conversation with a client yesterday when we're talking about states of being, and how whatever we be, however we identify ourselves, that's what we call forth from the world and into our own experience. It's literally how we create our experience. And that may sound kind of woo-woo, not for those of us steeped in this kind of work, but the truth is that our reality is quite malleable, and we create our experience of the world, and the filters through which we see the world, actually perceive it, and interpret it and experience it. So this person has had a lot of experience with victimhood, and I don't think she's alone. A lot of us have, right? And being hurt, kind of walking around as an open wound. And what this person recognized is that who she was being was hurt. And at every turn, she had another opportunity to be hurt. Hurt in relationships, hurt in business, hurt by the news and the news and its portrayal of what is happening in the world, which is a very curated view, not necessarily reflective of a whole truth in any way. So this recognition of how we be, whether it's hurt or bountiful or blessed, like what if we be blessed? If we're being blessed, what we will see is all the blessings. If we're being bountiful, what we see is all the bounty. And that it's so simple. It's not necessarily easy, but it's so very, very simple, to be bountiful, for example, to be blessed. And part of that, for me anyway, that leads me into the arena where I can experience that state of being, is from the space of life is happening for me and through me rather than to me. And if life is happening for me, then it's very easy from that space to step into blessings. And blessings often come in camouflage. There are often times when blessings are arising and we can't recognize them very readily as blessings unless we make a deliberate intention to do so, because it's not always obvious. It could look like pain and suffering. And it takes looking or being open to receiving. It takes allowing to allow those blessings to emerge sometimes, or our awareness of the blessings to emerge. So I was speaking with another client who is an attorney and is in the midst of legal action, and was very much looking at hoping for a particular outcome. And that outcome didn't come about. And so they were initially very upset because there was attachment to that outcome. And what's certain to me, even though we don't yet know how it's going to unfold, what's certain to me is that there's something better and more appropriate emerging. That this whole thing that they're engaged in is part of a bigger story, and that it's unfolding exactly the way that it needs to, even though it's not unfolding in the way that was hoped for. And with that kind of attitude, some people would call it Pollyanna, and I get that. But the thing is, with that kind of attitude, things are going to unfold. We have a choice. We always have a choice. So we can choose to be bountiful. We can choose to be in lack. We can choose we can choose that things are unfolding in their perfection. We can choose that the world is out to get me. And the thing is, things are going to unfold however they unfold. And our beingness impacts the way that they unfold. And along the way, the experience of being bountiful is a lot more joyful than the experience of being in lack, correct? I mean, if you can choose, and we can, why wouldn't we choose a path of greater joy? And actually, I have an answer to that, which is kind of sad. Why wouldn't we choose the path of greater joy? And the answers that I've seen from people is that somehow they're conditioned to believe that that path of joy is somehow less real, somehow less valid, somehow delusional. And the path of negativity and worst case scenario is somehow more realistic. I mean, just think about how we've been so deeply conditioned in that way. It's crazy making, literally. And this reminds me of the other day. I know I've shared that in the morning, I think I shared this already, but I'm going to share it again because it was so powerful. In the morning, I get up and I just sort of shout, "Good morning, magnificent life," or "Good morning, wonderful life." And it immediately changes my state. It immediately has me in a place of receptivity and embracing life versus just sort of trying to wake myself up into the day. And the other night, I was just sitting and engaged in, I was crocheting and watching TV. And all of a sudden, I realized, oh my gosh, I have a magnificent life. Now, I can tell you that the circumstances of my life haven't changed since I felt, but my perception shifted, and the weight of my attention shifted to how to what's working, to being bountiful. And it's not that we don't have the challenges and the hardships and all of that. It's that maybe they're experienced differently. Maybe we don't weight them more heavily than the benefits and the positives and the lovely things. So with this person that was hurt, there was a deep victimhood that accompanied that hurt, or that supported that being hurt. And so when this person would recount their day at work, the focus was on everything that wasn't working and all the challenges and all the overwhelm. And yet this person would say, there's so many things I love about my job, but I never heard what they were. And so my invitation to them was to start speaking the things they love. Because when we put our attention, it's the same job, it's the same events happening throughout the day. But when we put our attention on the goodness, we feel the goodness. When we put our attention on the challenges, we feel the stress and tension of the challenges and the overwhelm for this person. And so it's really a matter of how we weight our experience. What are we going to give energy to? Whatever we give energy to is going to multiply or intensify. So if I talk about all the terrible things that happened in my day, all the things that challenged me, and all the things that didn't work, I'm in this downward spiral of those emotions. If I talk about the miraculous connections that I had and look for all the benefits in that, I have a different emotional and therefore physiological experience. What was awesome with this person who was talking about being hurt was they did a visualization, and in the visualization they saw their heart, and their heart was bleeding. And which is interesting, you know, we have that saying, bleeding heart, right? That everything that was going on in the world was impacting them. Everything that was going on everywhere was impacting them. And what they recognized is that it was having a physiological effect on their body and being. The way that we be affects our physiology, affects our health, affects our welfare. And it is a choice. It's not a simple choice. It's an easy, let's say it's a simple choice. It's not an easy choice necessarily. And I feel that I can say that with authority because I spent most of my life clinically depressed, like severely depressed, and thinking of suicide on a daily basis. And so I know that it's a choice. I know it doesn't look like a choice. It's a simple choice. It's not an easy choice. And it takes determined effort and energy to repattern ourselves, to redirect our attention, sometimes in a literal and physical way, to just literally turn your head in a different direction for instance, for this person to be willing to not immerse themselves in the headlines from the news, which is designed in so many ways to throw us into fight or flight, panic, depression, helplessness, hopelessness. It's not that those things aren't happening in the world, but they are not the entirety and maybe not the majority of things that are happening in the world. There's good news to be had as well. So it's not a matter of denial or avoidance. And it is a matter also of knowing that there's a greater balance, knowing that whatever those headlines are, it's not a whole picture. It's a very skewed picture. We all know the saying, if it bleeds, it leads in the news. How much good news do we see in the news? Not a whole lot. And it's designed that way. Because it helps to, or we are conditioned, maybe it's just a cycle of conditioning. We're cycled into looking for what's wrong. And that may be tied in with the survival mechanism. You know, if we know what's wrong, what's the danger, then we can respond. Hopefully we can respond appropriately if there's danger or a threat, right? So we're conditioned to look for that threat instead of looking for what's great. You know, because we don't want to be caught unaware and endangered because we're unaware. But we can recondition ourselves. We can recondition ourselves so that we can recognize that these incursions upon our consciousness that the news is in so many ways, we don't need to personalize it. We don't need to magnify it like it means that the world's going to hell in a handbasket kind of thing, because it's only one vantage point. So going back, circling back to being bountiful. When we be bountiful, we get to recognize the blessings. And they're all around all the time. Just like all the bad stuff, quote unquote, bad stuff is around. But when we're focused on the bad stuff, we don't see the good stuff. And when we're focused on the good stuff, we don't see the bad stuff, at least not as vividly. The bad stuff can't penetrate and wound us as deeply when we have the good stuff to counteract it. So being bountiful, there's joy in that. I mean, just touch into it. You can feel the distinct difference in being bountiful. Even though there might be debt, even though I still want making more money, for example, to recognize how bountiful we are already and to be bountiful. When we're bountiful, we perceive, we experience, and we magnetize greater bounty. And what better, I mean, it's sad that we have the history with this day of Thanksgiving that we do in terms of colonialism and abuses. And we can rework this day to one of gratitude and true gratitude and appreciation. I know that that's what it was meant to be originally, and it's just been polluted by the origins of it. And rather than just having it be a day of celebrating with certain traditional foods, and maybe we can really, really presence ourselves to a new beingness around it and awareness of a bigger picture that includes that bounty, that allows us to expand. I think when we are bountiful, it allows us to be more generous too. And so maybe that's a wonderful thing that we can cultivate for this day, is generosity as part of our gratitude and bounty. And look at how generous the world is with us in so many ways, and how we can give back, how we can contribute. And part of that is contributing our gifts. Part of it is being our authentic selves. So with that, I invite you to be bountiful and generous and expressed. So happy Thanksgiving. Happy giving thanks. That's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And as always, it's a delight, a privilege, and a pleasure to have the opportunity to share these musings with you. So until next time, so much love to you.